This is one of my ad accounts with hundreds of thousands of dollars of spend on it. And you can see here that the cost per result or cost per purchase is a lot lower than the industry standard. And I'm gonna show every beginner how to do this. So one of the hardest things about running a dropshipping or an online e-commerce business is running successful advertisements. If you're not careful, if you don't do it correctly, you can end up wasting a ton of money, and we're here to avoid that. In this video, I'm gonna cover some results that I've gotten from using this exact type of strategy and setup. I'm also gonna give you some quick Facebook and Instagram tips that I've learned over the past 5 years and ran multiple 7-figure businesses on. And then right after that, we're gonna go step by step on how to set up these ad creatives as a beginner. And if you guys are brand new to my channel, my name is Rabin, and welcome and thank you for watching this video. This video is gonna be packed with some good knowledge, so make sure you're taking notes or just following along step by step. It's the easiest way to do it. All right, so the first thing that I wanna talk about are some quick Facebook and Instagram tips when you're advertising. Remember, the better that you get at advertising and running your social media campaigns, the more money you're actually gonna put in your pockets. Because the more efficient that your ad campaigns are actually running, that means you're paying less to advertising, which is a huge expense today in 2024 with online businesses. Besides the product costs and the Shopify fees, your ad spend is going to eat up a lot of your margin, and it's one of the biggest expenses of your business. With it being one of the biggest parts of your business, that just means there's a lot more opportunity out there to reduce the cost of this element and actually put more money in your pockets with more margin. So let's cover some results really quickly from these type of ad campaigns that I get on Facebook and Instagram. It's my favorite advertising platform to use. I've been using it since the beginning. It's still the best in my opinion, and there's a lot of money to be made on these platforms still. So these cost per results are pretty dang good compared to some others out there. Pretty much all of them are under $10 cost per purchase, which is fantastic. Some are even low as $4.31. I've seen cost per purchases on some of my accounts down to $2, which at that point is just almost free advertising. So if we take a look at the metrics on some of these campaigns, you can see that there's a really low cost per impression along with low cost per link clicks, right? So the products that I'm selling reach a really wide audience, which allows me to even get them as low as they are. Now, if you're seeing results that don't look like this in terms of the metrics on the right side here, that does not mean that it's not going to be a successful campaign. It's all product dependent, pricing of the product, the market, how big that market size is. There are so many variables that go into that type of metric. Don't get hung up if you're not getting CPMs of whatever these are, right? Under $2. Pretty crazy. If you have a more niche product, it's going to be higher. If you're reaching an older demographic of audience, it's going to be higher. So don't really worry about that. The only thing that you really want to worry about in the end is the cost per result. Are you breaking even or are you making money on these campaigns? So this leads me into my quick Facebook tips. Facebook in 2024, and when I say Facebook, I just mean Instagram and Facebook, or Meta, whatever you want to call it. In 2024, most social media platforms, including Meta, are pushing everyone to go really broad. Quick little history lesson here. So after iOS 14.5 update, where more people had privacy on their iPhones, so you know how whenever you download an app or there's allow cookies on the website and stuff like that, that got a lot more strict during that time frame, which really hurt online advertising, especially people drop shipping and even people building small businesses. And the reason why is because people are opting into less data sharing. That means all these social media platforms collect less data. Therefore, they really can't put that perfect profile that they used to be able to do and know exactly what to show people for advertisements and interests and things like that. I mean, if you watch the movie The Social Dilemma, it explains it pretty well actually. So they kind of fixed that privacy issue, right? And now what they did to combat that is really just told everyone to go broad. Pretty much every social media platform is like no interest targeting. They're even taking away a lot of interest on Facebook. So you literally can't target what you used to be able to. And what they're trying to do here, in my belief, I don't work at Facebook, but they want us to spend a lot of money broad, right? So they want us to pay to retrain their algorithm essentially. They want us to keep targeting, keep spending money, and let their algorithm figure out these perfect profiles that they used to be able to by collecting data, just by throwing money and experiment with advertisements of what products resonate with what people, what their interests are, trying to improve their algorithm, blah, blah, blah. Now this has been going on for a while. So every year Facebook and Instagram actually get a lot better with their targeting, even if you're going broad. It's pretty crazy. So it is working, but we kind of paid for it in the beginning up front. So that's tip number one, which is your interest targeting, going more broad in 2024 moving forward. Now the second tip is testing one variable at a time. I see a lot of beginners all the time testing multiple different ad creatives, different copies, different marketing angles, everything all the time pretty much. And that makes it really hard to figure out what's working, what's not working. If you look at e-commerce as a whole, it's a big puzzle that you have to piece all of these little things together to make this pretty picture, right? And that pretty picture is making money. And so one of the elements is advertising, right? And there's puzzles and pieces within that advertising. So when you're testing different creatives, different hooks, different marketing angles, you can't really attribute one or the other to say which one was better, right? You're testing multiple variables. So if one works and one doesn't, you're like, okay, well, what actually worked, right? right? Was it the copy? Was it the creative? Was it the marketing angle? Like, what was it? And you just don't know, right? It's just up in the air. So the biggest thing that you really need to do in the beginning, and it's a long process, but it's totally worth it, is just testing one variable at a time. And I'll be setting that up later in this video of how to like properly do that. But it's a huge thing and a huge mistake you don't want to make. You can't keep track of all of these moving pieces. You just can't attribute them correctly, right? You just don't know what actually moved the needle and what hurt. And tip number 3 is it's going to take time. You got to build up your pixel. And if you don't know what that is, it's all these social media, online advertisements way of tracking data, right? So a pixel tracks when someone makes a purchase, reports it back to the ad manager and says, hey, this person in this kind of profile made a purchase. They report it back here on the screen that you're seeing now. And your pixel actually gets stronger. It collects this data and it gets better and better and knows where to start sending advertisements because it's kind of building this profile for you on the back end of your ideal customer. And just know that that takes time. Right in the beginning, you might do some broad campaigns that just don't hit at all. And some other ones hit really hard in the beginning and you're profitable. That's great. But over time, it gets better and better and better. So every new campaign that you create, you've got all this data in the background in your pixel and they kind of know where to throw their net, right? Which brings me into a good analogy of budget size and markets and all these things. It's like a big lake. So if you got a market size of 100 million people, it's a pretty big lake compared to a lake that has 10 million people in it. And the net that you're casting out to catch these fish is essentially your spend amount. If you've got a lake full of 100 million people or 100 million fish, then you've got a $10 fishing net, right? Compared to a $100 fishing net. The $100 fishing net is bigger. And what Facebook does in the beginning, especially if your pixel isn't really seasoned, they cast out that net in that broad audience and try to find the right subset of people, right? And if you've got a smaller net, they're going to cast it. No one's biting. Let's cast it over here. Hopefully someone bites. No one's biting yet. Let's cast it here. Oh, someone bit, someone made a purchase. Now in the back end, Facebook is firing all these algorithms or whatever, right? I'm not a technical guy. And they're saying, okay, these types of people in this section of the lake, quote unquote, is what we need to keep targeting. So they keep casting that net there, and hopefully get more and more purchases. And if they stop, they'll start casting it in a different spot. And if you have a bigger budget, you have a bigger net, so that net's larger and can catch a purchase quicker and help Facebook kind of decide what kind of market to go after, what demographic of people. Someone told me that analogy a while ago. I think it was a Facebook marketing expert that I was working with that worked at Facebook. I can't remember who, but it was a really good analogy of how to explain the algorithm. But in terms of the tip, don't just expect your pixel to be crazy seasoned right off the bat and just, 100 orders on your first ad that you ever run. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some trial and error. Just stick with it because it's totally worth it if you want to get your online business successful. Now let's go into the strategy and setup piece for beginners. And I promised you that I'm going to walk you through step by step. So what we're actually going to do is set up a campaign of how I like to set them up, especially when just testing out a product or an advertisement. I'll show you how to structure everything at the campaign level, ad set level, ad creative level, and explain everything in detail of what each button means and what it does. That way, if you're a complete beginner here, it's going to be super, super easy to follow along and you're going to understand everything and feel like a pro after this. Now, these Facebook ad strategies and setup do work with every single budget that people have, right? Whether it's $5 or $500 a day that you have to test. The only difference is the same analogy as that net is the $500 a day one will probably learn quicker than the $5 a day one. That $5 a day one will have to run 100 days before they reach that $500 spend in data that they've collected at that $500 a day mark. So this can definitely work with any budget that you have as long as you have the time and know that it's going to take longer with a lower budget to collect certain amounts of data. And certain amounts of data are key because it helps you make educated decisions moving forward with your advertisements. I know this is a lot. I'm just kind of like word vomiting on you. As a beginner, you're probably like, what the heck is going on? Just show me how to set up my campaigns. So let's get right into it. And before we get into the campaign setup, if you are needing additional extra help with e-commerce and building your dropshipping store or your small business, and you want to get help from me and my team at Ecom Remastered, where we can build custom websites for you, custom UGC content, host 4 live coaching calls a week. You get access to my private supplier, great resources and templates, just a fantastic community overall. And the best part is it's lifetime access. So we will work with you until you hit your goals and even past that if you still want to work with us. So if this sounds like something that you need and would help you out, make sure to book in an application call down below. All right, now let's set up step by step our Facebook ad campaign. This is where you want to pay attention, follow along, take notes. So this is the Facebook ad layout platform right here, right? So you're probably used to this. You've probably logged in. So we're in the ads manager now, and we want to actually create a new campaign. So on the top left, we're going to click create here. So when you create a new campaign, the buying type is auction, or you can do reservation. Always do auction. So the way it works is it's like a bidding auction. You're bidding against other ad creatives and people running campaigns. It's the best way to do it. And the better your ad creatives are and they resonate with the audience and stuff, it actually gets cheaper because Facebook wants to send out good quality ads. So I'll talk about that later on, but make sure that your quality rankings and all those things are high. So the first option that you have to choose from is choosing a campaign objective. There's awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, and sales. Whatever you pick here is exactly what Facebook is going to go after. If you are looking for just traffic onto your website, you don't care about people purchasing, purchasing, you just want people to see your blog or whatever, traffic might be good for you. But if you're trying to build an e-commerce brand or a dropshipping brand, you want to click sales because that's telling Facebook you need to show these ads and optimize it for sales. Don't put out this ad to people that have never purchased online before. Put this out to high quality customers that have intent to purchase. These are kind of self-explanatory here, but you always want to choose sales if you're running a online business that you want to make sales on. So you can name your campaign here. You can name this whatever you want, right? The best thing to do here though is being organized. So whatever your campaign is about, or the product or the targeting that you're doing, whatever variable you're testing, just make sure that you include it in the campaign so you know to look back at it later on and see, oh, I have tested this before and it didn't work. Or this is the variable I changed in this campaign compared to this one. You could name it like necklace is the product, right? US audience only, 18 plus. You could even say like variable testing is the angle, right? Just make it really specific so you know later on down the road. And then once you name your ad campaign to whatever you want, just go ahead and hit continue. Now there's two options here. There's Advantage Shopping Plus campaign and there's Manual Sales campaign. Advantage Plus Shopping campaign is like Facebook's optimization for selling products online. And what it does is kind of like picks a lot of stuff for you and there's less options to choose from. It also can link to your Facebook and Instagram accounts for your brand, and where it makes like scroll up shoppable type of landing pages for you. And I'm not going to bag on it. It does work and it does wonders for some people. It doesn't work for everyone, but it's definitely something worth testing. But for the sake of this video, we're going to do a manual sales campaign. One, because I like to have control of where everything is in the campaign and all that stuff and not let Facebook decide per se. But also I want to show you guys all of the options that you can choose from and really explain them in detail. I pretty much only use manual sales campaign, just an FYI. So we're going to click on that and hit continue here. Now this takes us into our ad manager setup here, where we've got the campaign level, we've got the ad set level and the ad creative level. And I'll go step by step on what these are. But on the campaign level, we've already got the campaign name. Then it goes down to special ad categories. This is for if you are advertising about credit, employment, housing, social issues. If you're selling products online, you don't have to declare any of these. If you're obviously running a political campaign or something like that, sure, click on one of those because they have more strict requirements for those types of ads, so don't accidentally click it. Now, campaign details, the buying type is auction like we talked about earlier. The objective is sales, nothing that you need to change here. You can use a catalog, and so what this does is it syncs with your Shopify and your Facebook store front essentially and puts things into categories and catalogs. I don't like using this that much, especially if I'm testing a product, which you probably guys are if you're a beginner just testing out one product. You don't really need to use this, but if you put a catalog together, if you have a clothing brand or something like that, it can be helpful. You can now also A/B test to help improve performance and test versions with different images, text, audiences, placements. So this is a good thing to do. It's a cool tool that they added, but I really like to do it manually, my A/B testing, because remember, like I said in the beginning, we're going to be testing one variable at a time, and I want to have full control of that. I don't want it to just have a bunch of different copies, a bunch of different everything, right? Because I don't know which one's working and why it's working. I'd rather know that data. That way I can fully put the puzzle together of this copy worked, this angle worked, this creative worked. And that's essentially how you run successful campaigns. Now, the other option is Advantage Campaign Budget. So there's Advantage Campaign Budget, and then there's ad budget optimization or ad budget level, right? Ad set budget level, sorry. So the difference is there's a campaign level and then there's an ad set level, and you can have multiple ad sets within a campaign and multiple ad creative levels within an ad set within a campaign. So what Advantage Campaign Budget does is it sets a certain amount of spend that you want. Say it's $20 a day right here, and it'll actually split that $20 between all of the ad sets and all of the creatives underneath it, how Facebook sees fit. It's not really a good thing to do in the beginning. I like to have certain dedicated amount of spend per each ad set, rather than letting Facebook decide this one gets 10, this one gets 5, this one gets 5. Because again, we're testing the product, we're testing the variables. Advantage Campaign Budget is a good thing to do later on when you're scaling. You can put in really successful campaigns that you've ran in the past all together and then let Facebook decide where to spend the money. That does perform very well, but as a beginner, we don't really want to do this in the beginning. We want to have full control of the ad set budget. That way we know each of these variables that we're testing got a fair amount of spend, which is really, really important. So we're gonna leave that off for now, and then we're gonna hit next. That's the only thing that you really have to think about and change on the campaign level. Now this brings us down to the ad set level. And so what takes place at the ad set level is demographics. So you can change the age differences, you can change the demographic of audience where they're located, like United States or Canada or another place. And this is where it gives you kind of the estimated market size and things like that, right? And you can have multiple ad sets that you wanna test against each other, right? Because if the variable that you're testing is countries, you could do one that's United States, create a duplicate and do one that's Canada, one that's United Kingdom, and let's just test those 3 against each other, right? That could be your variable, and keeping all the ad creatives the same underneath. But the first step is really testing out your marketing angles, in my opinion. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to create multiple ad creatives underneath one ad set with the same targeting. That's really the first step as a beginner to run a campaign. You really want to see which creative and which angle is performing the best. Then you can start testing out other things like age and all that stuff, right? But for now, we're going to keep it the same. So let's pretend we're just advertising to the United States 18 plus, right? That's it. Before we get any further down here, I want to define a couple of things on the right side. Audience definition. This is where it says the estimated audience size, right? So right now it's blank. So it's 236 million to 278 million people that we could potentially reach. That's the market pool size, or the lake that I was referring to earlier. Now the estimated daily results is complete BS. Okay, to be honest with you, it says the reach. The reach is kind of more accurate, but conversions, I'm estimating that I'm going to get 10 to 29 conversions. It's up in the air. Okay, so this estimated daily results, I've been doing this for over 5 years. I can tell you this is very random. I've had times where it says I'm going to get 0 conversions and have 200 conversions. I've had times where it says I'm going to get 200 conversions on estimate and I've gotten 10, right? So it's not reliable. So don't worry about this at all. A lot of people ask me about that. Really, the only thing that you kind of want to pay attention is the market size of how big it is. All right, so let's keep moving on and break this down. So the conversion location, we want to do website because we're sending people to our landing page where they will hopefully buy the product. But you could also choose app, website, and app, messaging apps, but you're probably an e-commerce seller, so you want to do website. And so now for the performance goal, you want to maximize the number of conversions. That's what we want to do. Don't pick landing page views or link clicks, even though it's cheaper to do it that way. Like, you're going to get really cheap cost per link clicks. But the problem is it's not optimizing for conversions. It's optimizing for link clicks. Why would you just pay for people to click onto your website? You want to pay for people to convert. So the goal, you want to make sure to leave it as maximized number of conversions. The pixel is what we talked about earlier, how it tracks the data of people coming on your website, it reports it back to Facebook. So you know that they've made a purchase. It tracks it here, like I showed you in the metrics earlier. So select your pixel here and make sure it's linked onto your Shopify store. And if you don't have a pixel yet, all you have to do is go on Shopify, go into the app store, download the Facebook app, set it up, and it'll create a pixel for you. And then it'll be linked to this ad account. And then make sure you're linking it to this ad account and it'll show up. You'll be good to go. Set up your pixel, and the conversion event, we want to do purchase. That's the thing that we want to track the most, right? We don't really care if people add payment info, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's nice to know, but we want to track the conversion event of purchase. Now, moving on, the cost per result goal. This has never really worked for me, to be honest with you. I know there's been people in the past, I don't really know the up-to-date strategies with cost per result goal, but in the past it's worked for people. For me, it has never worked. And that's just my opinion on it and what's happened to me. I know some people it's worked for, whatever. But what it is it says, if I want to have a cost per purchase of $10 on average, that's what I want to hit, 10 bucks. You put it in there, right? $10 USD. That's what you're trying to hit your cost per purchase to be. A lot of times for me and a lot of times for other people, it just doesn't spend any of your budget and you're just sitting there with 2 pennies spent. All right. It just doesn't work. I honestly don't even know why they still have this. Not a lot of people use it. So for this example, as a beginner, we're going to leave it blank. Now we can show more options here. There's an attribution setting, which is how long that Facebook can track the click and relay it back to Facebook and report that there was a purchase made or someone clicked on the link or whatever. So we got a 7-day click setting here and a 1-day view setting. I'll leave this the same. You don't have to change this. When you get charged, don't even know why they have this here either, because you can't change it. It's by impression. So they charge you per 1,000 impressions. They don't charge you per cost per click or anything like that. That's just a formula that shows you what the average was. But how Facebook charges you is by impression. Delivery type, we're going to leave that at standard. We also can't change it. Dynamic creative is another thing that's like A/B testing for Facebook. And what it does is basically you provide creative elements such as images or headlines, and they'll automatically generate optimizations that they see fit. It's good in theory, but the problem with that is they don't know your business like you do. They don't have the same vision as you. They don't have the same market research that you've done. They don't know how you want to advertise or show this product or the caption for it. You know all those things, or you should be learning them. So I like to keep that in control myself. So we leave that off. Going down to budget and schedule. This is where you choose, how much you're comfortable with your daily budget. It can be $5, it can be $500. It's whatever your budget that you want to spend. And remember to keep in mind, the more you spend on your daily budget, the quicker you're going to get data to make educated decisions moving forward on your advertisements. But for now, let's just leave it at like $25, which is pretty average. The schedule or the start date is January 10th. And we want to say at, 2:20 p.m. is when we want to start these ads start running, right? Is when we want to have these ads start running. I like to do the next day and set it for midnight or like 6 a.m., one of those two. That way it gets like a full fair day of testing, because if it's 8 p.m. at night and you start up this campaign, it's only gonna have 8 to 12 until it's the next day in the new budget. It just doesn't start off really efficiently. So I like to do it for the next day, 12 a.m. or 6 a.m. Eastern time. You can also set an end date for your campaign. Not really sure why you'd want to do that. Just monitor it, obviously. And then if it's doing well, great. If it's performing poorly, just turn it off. You don't really have to set an end date. I don't really know why they have that. Maybe for certain campaigns at big marketing firms, they want to run it, they want to run it from Thanksgiving to Christmas for some reason. But for us, we don't really need to worry about that. Budget scheduling is kind of interesting. You don't really want to do it in the beginning, but if you've noticed something taking place on your stores, let's just say you get all of your sales between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. and nothing for the rest of the day for some reason, and that's happened like week over week, you can actually change this to like, say, increase your budget during 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. or actually schedule it out. So it says during 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., that's the only time you're gonna actually run advertisements, and the rest is shut off. That's something that you'll have to learn down the road with your business. Most of the time, you just kind of wanna run it throughout the whole day. But there's certain products, I guess, where that would apply. All right, so audience controls. This is where we're gonna do some demographics and things like that, right? So you can click on locations here. You can change it to Canada, whatever, right? But for this example, we're gonna be using the United States. One quick tip, just to keep in mind, whatever country that you're targeting, make sure you're advertising in the native language. For the most part, right? If you are targeting a place that doesn't speak any English at all, and there's like 10% of the people that speak English, don't have your ad in English, right? It's just not gonna hit. It's just not gonna work. It's not gonna resonate with them. So keep that in mind. But for this example, we're gonna be using the United States, and minimum age, we're gonna say 18, right? So we're keeping the minimum age at 18. Obviously, if your product is, for older people, you can choose older demographics and things like that. And then underneath that, you can exclude custom audiences. So you can say people that are interested in XYZ for some reason, don't show them the ad. There's strategies behind this back in like 2017 and stuff like that, but it doesn't really work anymore. So I like to leave this one blank. Now, Advantage Plus audience. So this is interesting. It's kind of newer. It's the ad technology automatically finds your audience, basically leaving it up to Facebook to decide. So nowadays, I actually would click on that, leave custom audiences blank. So custom audiences could be people based on your pixel data, like people that have clicked on my site within 180 days. You can like target those custom audiences, which is good for retargeting campaigns and stuff like that. But for now, as a test and trial for a product, we're gonna leave that blank. You can also switch up the age here for the demographics. You can actually go all the way up to 65 in these settings, and then genders. If your product is only aimed towards females, then you can change that here. Detail targeting, this is where you put interests and behaviors, right? So like people that, I don't even know if they have like Starbucks anymore. Okay, they do. So they're taking away a lot of these interests because they want people to go broad, like I was telling you guys earlier in the video. But you can still target like an interest in Starbucks or whatever. Yeah, right here. And it's an audience size of 500 million people that are interested, right? Detailed targeting and interest used to be huge, like in 2017, 2018. It was really, really important to your ad strategy, and it was a lot more complicated. But now in 2024, with all the privacy updates, like I was talking about, you just gotta go broad. Like everyone's pretty much going broad. And now it doesn't hurt here and there to test a couple interests. If that's the variable you wanna test, you can test that interest. You can say Starbucks if you're selling coffee or whatever. It's worth trying, but in the beginning, you just wanna leave it broad and let Facebook decide and let the pixel learn itself. That's what's been working for me and pretty much everyone that I've been working with. Now you go down to the last section on this page, which is placements. So there's Advantage Plus placements, which is recommended, and then there's manual placements. I'll show you the difference between the two. I do prefer Advantage Plus placements because they kind of know what format to put your video in and all that stuff, right? But what manual placements are you can choose, I only want to show ads on Facebook, not Instagram. So you can uncheck everything here and just have Facebook. You can also individually say, I only want my advertisement to be shown on the Instagram feed, nothing else. So you can choose that here, which can be good at times for certain campaigns and certain, if you've seen in the past that people convert so much higher on Instagram stories than any other placement, that could be worth testing in the future. But in the beginning, you want to do automatic. It allows your ads to be a lot cheaper. I've seen firsthand that leaving automatic placements on, and just by chance, it pretty much spent all of the money on Instagram stories. And it was, let's just say $5 CPM. Once I noticed that and tried to do just Instagram stories to optimize it even more, the CPMs went up to like $10. So Facebook really likes to have control and options of where to put your placements for your ad. So I really, really recommend having Advantage Plus placements here and letting Facebook decide where to put it. And don't worry about the structure and stuff like that. They won't really send it to anywhere that they think is not gonna perform well. So that's the last thing that you wanna set up on the ad set level. And now we're gonna be moving on to the ad creative level. So here as a beginner, we actually wanna make duplicates of, right? So in the beginning, we're gonna fill out one first, and then I'll show you guys how to duplicate into like 3 to 5 different ad creatives, because the thing that you wanna test in the beginning is the marketing angle. angles, but this still applies to whatever variable that you're testing. So we're gonna walk through this here really quickly. Is it a partnership ad? If you wanna run an ad with a creator, brand, or other business, then you would turn this on, but we are not gonna be doing that because we're just running our own business. And then the identity is your Facebook page, which should be linked onto your ad account here. And if it's not, you just go into your business settings on Facebook and link the page. And then you also link your Instagram account, doing the same thing, right? So these are important to actually have, because if you are running ads on Facebook or Instagram, people will be able to click on that and then click onto your Instagram profile, where then they can follow you, check out your page more, check out your other products if they want to do that, or just make sure that you're like a legit company. So you really want to have your Instagram and your Facebook page linked here. So going into the ad setup, you want to create a new ad, not use an existing post. We want to actually upload our own ad creatives ourselves onto Facebook. And now there's two options for the creative source. There's a manual upload or there's a catalog. Catalog pulls from your Shopify page / your Facebook shop page and just pulls in products and it kind of creates the ad for you. I don't like doing that. I like to do manual upload. Now the format is single image or video, carousel, or collection. So single image or video are the most popular. I think the best results that I've ever gotten are through carousels. So carousels are 2 or more scrollable images or videos, the ones that you can kind of swipe left to right on. I think that they do so well because it allows the customer, whoever's seen the ad, to keep interacting with it and scrolling past. Whereas a single image or video can get boring, especially at one single static image or one single video. If they don't like it, they're gone. But if a carousel, they can swipe through multiple things, right? So I've been using carousels for a very long time now, a few years, ever since my Facebook marketing expert, the guy that works at Facebook, told me to try them out. And I've really never gone back since. Not to say that single image or video does not work. It can work for sure, but carousel for me personally has been working a lot better and it's gotten a lot cheaper results overall. So for this example though, we're going to set up single image or video because I don't have 4 images to put together right now. So we'll click on single image or video. And now you scroll down to the add creative section where you add your media. So in here, you would add your image or video that you want to run. And since we're doing marketing angles as the example, so we're going to have 3 different creatives. Let's just say they're image ads. And the product we're selling is an RFID blocking wallet. It's just a sleek wallet that, RFID scanners, it blocks or whatever, right? Let's say our 3 marketing angles are: 1, it's targeting businessmen that want a sleek wallet. 2, it's for people that are scared of people stealing their credit card information. That's a different angle. And let's pretend that the 3rd angle is no more bulky wallets, right? You want a thin wallet that's cool, has features or whatever. So for this example, we would have an image ad of the exact same image, but 3 different angles within that image, right? So the headline would be different, the copy would be different for each of them to represent those angles. That way we'd be able to see which one is resonating with a certain audience the best. And then we'd be like, okay, this marketing angle about bulky wallets is doing the best. Let's just hammer that one, start testing a bunch of other things besides that variable. So what you do is add your image here and then your primary text. Let me just add like a random image maybe. So here is my image. I just threw up an image here of an old wallet thing that I was running. So this is what it looks like. And on the right side, you get your ad preview here so you can see what each placement will look like once it starts running. Now I've got the primary text here. They all appear in different areas depending on the placement, but for this one, for Facebook feeds, it shows up right here, kind of like the caption. So if our angle is referring to bulky wallets and we don't like that, I just did something simple here and just said no more bulky wallets for the example. They also suggest some text variations or whatever. If you like them and they're better than yours, then you could use those as well. Or you could use Dropbotais. That's what I use for all of my copy. So you can see here that it shows up on the right side, and then underneath that is a headline, which is going to show up right here. And let's just say bulky no more, right? So that's the example of this bulky wallet. That's where it's going to show up there. The description for this placement is going to show up underneath it. So you can give more details about your product, really drive home that marketing angle and say all the problems that you have with your bulky wallets, why they suck, and why you should have a sleek wallet like this one. So you can just say sleek wallets are the best. Okay, so then we go down here and choose our call to action. Really interesting fact for me, anytime I choose any call to action that's not shop now, the ad, specifically the campaign I'm trying to run, gets restricted. No idea why. But you have to make sure to choose what you would like to do. Like you could say get offer, watch more, subscribe. Most of the time you're gonna want to say shop now. It just makes the most sense, especially with e-commerce and dropshipping. Now they also have info labels now. So it's like useful info labels, highlight attractive information about your business, such as the number of followers or page likes that you have on your account, or free shipping. So you can edit those if you'd like to. Like you could say, oh, like we always have free shipping. You can put in the optional like limitations here if they apply over $50 in orders, all that stuff, but it'll show up at the bottom here. It's a pretty cool new feature that they've added. So let's just say we're doing free shipping. I'll just click yes, doesn't really matter. And that will show up down below on some of the placements as well. So now we're going down to the destination. This is where you're gonna plug in your website. You don't wanna plug in the homepage of your website. You wanna plug in the product landing page. It's one less step because if you send them over to the homepage, they're gonna have to dig through your homepage, read about you, and try to find that product that they just saw the advertisement for. You want to send them directly to the landing page so there's less friction. So you plug in your URL here, and then the display link, if you want to change that for some reason, you don't really need to do that. Any URL parameters. And if you don't know what these are, it's basically lines of text at the end of links to help you track on Shopify's backend, like conversions, sessions by advertisement, blah, blah, blah. It's really good to set up and have these if you want to use them later on down the road. It's a little advanced for a beginner, but it's a good practice to get into and something that you should learn about. So you can choose a campaign source as the site name, campaign ID, campaign name, and campaign content as like the ad name or something. You just hit apply. And so look, now this link that the customer doesn't see this, but you see this on your side of the URL parameters here. So when they click on this specific ad right here, if this is the ad that they see, this is the link that they're actually clicking on the back end. So it collects a little bit more data about where this customer came from. And then there's reports on Shopify that you can look into to see exactly this, source name that came from Facebook. So you can attribute it to this campaign. It just helps you on the back end with your data and making decisions and seeing where traffic comes from. Now scrolling down here to languages, you can translate automatically. I don't like doing that because a lot of times it doesn't work very well for one. And then we're going to move on to tracking here. So make sure the pixel is set up here for website events and they are tracking correctly. And then you're done filling out the creative side of your campaign here. But remember, we're testing a variable of marketing angles, right? We wanted no more bulky wallets. We wanted professional management guys that want a sleeker wallet. Then we wanted to test the angle of RFID blocking. So what you do is after you fill out all of this stuff, all you're going to do is over here, click duplicate in the original campaign, click it here. And we're going to duplicate one more time. Let's say you have 3 marketing angles that you want to test. And now we've got 3 ad creatives underneath this ad set, underneath the campaign. And so what you would do is now change the ad set copy to let's say RFID blocking, because that's the angle we're testing. And then we'd go back here, change the image if we need to have RFID blocking text all over it or whatever your angle is. And then change the headlines to RFID blocking. You'd do the same thing here with this one of the sleek wallet businessman one. And so now how this is set up is we've got the campaign level, we've got the ad set level, so we're targeting the same demographic of people, but underneath that ad set level there's 3 different marketing angles and 3 different creatives. And so for example, if your budget is $25 on your ad set level, it's going to divvy that $25 down to those 3 creatives how it sees fit, which ones are performing the best, which ones are resonating with the audience. It might spend $5 on sleek wallet business, and it might spend $5 on RFID angle and $15 on bulky wallets, right? And that's fine because we're just testing that angle and we want to know which one is resonating with the audience the most, which one is getting sales, because that's the only variable that we're testing right now. So if that makes sense, you are ready to go and you just hit publish and your campaign will be ready to run the next day or at 6 a.m. whenever you set it for. Now that's exactly how I set up my campaigns, especially testing new products in 2024. Again, the biggest thing that you want to do is test the variables one at a time. And let's just say we did this, right? And we ran this campaign and the winning marketing angle was RFID blocking. Now that we know that, we're going to move on to the next variable. We're going to test maybe different countries against each other, maybe different age demographic, maybe different ad creatives, maybe different videos against each other, which hook is performing the best. But we're going to change one thing at a time until we put all the best performing puzzle pieces together to create a really, really good super campaign. That is exactly what I do in all of my businesses when I'm testing Facebook ads. It has worked time and time again. It is very time consuming in certain ways, but it's the cleanest way to do it and to get the best results. I hope that this video was helpful and the walkthroughs were clear enough and you now understand what it's like to set up a Facebook ad campaign. It's not as scary as you think. There are a lot of options to choose from, but I hope that I explained them all in great detail of what each one means. That way you can apply whichever one is necessary to your business. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Remember to subscribe, hit the like button, maybe leave a comment down below on what video you want to see next. All right, guys, that is the full setup. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and I'll see you guys next time.